Excel, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, what is it, episode 5?
Yes.
Wow.
We're on a roll.
Yes, it's another episode of Self-CAV. I'm here. Miss Cosmo is here.
Yes.
And today, Sech Medez is not here, but we spoke to the lovely Donna, and she's here with us. So Donna, welcome to Self-CAV.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So Donna is a singer. She's an actress as well, and she's a voiceover artist.
Okay.
So how we met, her and I think you did a voice test with me,
I did a couple of years ago.
and it was online.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how we met.
Okay.
And so I just paid attention to her work ever since.
Interesting. All right. So where would other people kind of recognize you from?
I do
Besides
a
the
lot
voice work.
a lot of ads.
Okay.
I've done a film. That's about it on screen for me.
All right.
Behind the scenes, I love children.
Oh, man. Beautiful.
Yeah, done a lot of stuff in terms of like child psychology.
Nice.
I enjoy the children's minds. At the moment, I'm also a family PA, which is stressful. Yeah, and a little bit here and there in modeling. Very little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So dabbling here and there, which
Dabbling.
I think also kind of speaks to what we had spoken about last week with, having one or two things on the side, because right now Cyril's economy is a little bit too heavy.
Oh, it's tough.
So you got to take what you can. But as long as I think it also helps when you're doing it in spaces that you enjoy. Because you see, you can do the voice stuff and the acting stuff, but also still work with the kids, which I think is really wholesome and admirable as well. So
Definitely.
yeah.
You're talking about Cyril's economy. My wife has been looking at me like, hey, March is coming. It's our first year anniversary. And she wants to go abroad. So, yeah, you got to do what you have to do. Don't kill, though. Don't go and steal.
Yeah, please.
The legal stuff. But yeah, how are you guys doing?
Good, man. I've just been a little bit busy this past weekend, but I'm alive. I'm surviving. I'm also trying to, stay above water a little bit. My voice is a little bit up and down because I haven't really slept for the past 4 days. But I'm here and, we're ready to go.
Yeah, it's good seeing you. It's always good seeing you.
Yeah.
Donna, you good?
I'm okay. I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Head above the water,
Yes.
as high as I can hold it. Like I told you behind the scenes, I feel like I'm going through a dark night of the soul.
True.
It's
Okay.
soul, but it's necessary.
Dark
Okay.
night of
Very
the soul.
necessary.
Yeah, Miss Cosmo has a lot of questions. Hey,
What do you mean by dark night?
Dark night of the soul.
Yes.
I mean, look at me. I'm in black.
Yeah. Are you mourning or?
Yes, in some
Okay.
way, not a person.
But
Yes.
are you mourning things that are still alive, people that are still alive?
Yes, that career, friendships, mindsets, beliefs.
Phew.
Yeah, just mourning it and closing those chapters. Like, this book there's no end here. So
Yeah, it's not working.
It's cool. It's
You know what? I think it's important for a lot of people to actually have those moments to kind of sit and reflect and think about what's working, what's not working. Because I do think a lot of us also hold on to a lot of stuff based on tenure more than it is about what is it doing for you? What is it doing for you? Is it building you? Is it growing you? And sometimes you hold on because you're just like, oh, but I've been with this person for 10 years or I've been friends with this person for whatever. If they're no longer serving the situation or that the job is no longer serving you no more, cut ties. We've got more to do.
gotta say goodbye.
Gotta say
It's never a
goodbye.
right time, but
So shout out to you for taking the step. Not a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
thank you.
Sure. Okay. Guys, I'm going through it, eh? I'm in a season where somebody spoke about the power of presence. That when you're eating, eat.
Yes.
When you're conversing with somebody, let that be the thing you're doing. That when you're working, work. And I feel like at this point in time, I'm not present at all
Okay.
in the many things that I'm doing. And that's because I'm submitting my research in like 20 days. So it's occupied every little thing. You know what I mean? You wake up, it's at the back of your head. You're eating, it's at the back of your head. You're driving, it's like, here, I need to go interview this person. I need to go interview that person. However, what I do say to myself, what I keep on saying to myself is that, dude, it's literally just 3 weeks. And then you're done. you know. But yeah, that's like the season that I'm in. Yeah.
But then
super
how's the
weird.
preparation for that? Is that coming together nicely, or are you a last minute person, or are you a person who likes to prepare ahead of time? Because you could have a deadline date, but then maybe kind of work on it way prior
Yeah.
so that you're very ready by the time you need to submit. Or you could be week before, day before. Some
Shuffling
people are like
around.
that.
Yeah, no, not with the master's thesis. Like you can't be a week before type of person.
I hope not.
But I think there's a point when, and you guys didn't even like notice this. Remember when we had the photo shoot?
Yeah.
That's like what, 6 weeks ago,
Yeah.
7 weeks ago. I was actually sick.
Really?
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I think I was in my first year of studying. I fell sick, and I had like my entire left side be in pain. So it was like the head, the ear, this part here, and my body was lame. And I didn't go to the doctor because you know how men are, right? And then I think my mom picked this up because I became a little snappy. And she was like, "Ah, there's something different about you." Took me to the doctor, got into the doctor's room, literally spoke for like 2-3 minutes. And then the doctor said to me, "You have anxiety."
Yo.
So it's been a thing that whenever I'm stressed, like I get that sick. Yeah, that period when we were taking the photo shoots and all, I was in like extreme pain
Well, so then why did you continue? We could have postponed it for another day.
because you got to do
You
what
wanted
you
to
got to
pass
do.
out on,
No,
on set.
I was not going to pass out.
Like,
I was not going to pass out. So I say all of that to say that period, I sort of like took a gap from the studies because I said to myself, I need to be fine. I can't continue like this if I'm not fine. But in answering your question, I'll be fine. I'll be good. You know, I've done my chapters 1 to 4. You know, I just need to transcribe my chapter 5 and then do the discussions, and then I'll be good.
All right. Well, we'll be waiting for you. You said 3 more weeks?
Yeah,
So-
24th.
okay, so we're going binge drinking that week. I hope everybody's ready. I'm going to make sure Sedge is also available for us. Brandon, you heard it, nah? It's on record. 3 weeks. We're
I
going
don't
on
drink,
a
though.
bender.
You must buy
You'll
me something
figure it
else.
out. You're going to
Okay.
drink a shot. Something's going to happen.
exactly.
It's costly. But yeah, I'm open to that. I'm open to going out. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. Just submitting, and I'll be done with this chapter. You know, I don't have to ever do it again. Am I going to go back to school? I don't know.
It's difficult. It's actually hard, especially when you've left school, because sometimes you also have to be in that process. Like school is like it's
It's never ending.
yes, it's never ending. But also, I think you need to be used to it. Like when you go to the gym and then you stop. And then you want to go back. It's tough to kind of get back into
Yeah,
it.
it's so
School
tough.
feels like the same thing as well. Like if you're not in that process, it's hard. So I get why you're on the fence. I've been considering registering for a very long time as well. I keep postponing and postponing and postponing. But eventually, I think I've also gotten a lot of examples around me of people my age who are going back to school. So I think I'm actually going to bite the bullet and possibly do it next year.
The
So
MBA.
I'll start with the honors first and then maybe the MBA. But yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see.
I hear you. Guys, is there a church for deaf people?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Let me tell you what happened. So I'm on Twitter, X. Yeah.
I still call it Twitter.
It's
please.
Twitter.
Like,
Twitter's Twitter.
So I come across this video, right? And it blew my head off. It's a protest. Yeah? You saw
Seen it. I
Deaf
saw
people.
it.
really?
Yeah, and I had so many questions. I'm like, okay, like this is different. Yeah, and I started like wondering.
What were they protesting? I didn't see it.
I don't know.
Okay.
Look, but they were really angry. No, like they know how to protest.
Oh, really?
Listen here.
What
It
does
was-
that mean?
It was loud. I mean, it was. Come on. You know, heaven doesn't have a control, guys.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I'm not laughing.
So it was. I don't know what it was about, but they were really angry about. It looked like it was possibly someone who owns this place or someone who's in charge.
Yeah.
They were mad at what management of something,
All right.
and they were aggressive about it, like
Okay.
fire burning.
We'll definitely lace it
That's crazy.
on the podcast. Let me see if it opens. But yeah,
Yeah, like
Wow.
Yeah. So like I started wondering, like, have you ever heard of a church for deaf people? Like have you?
It must be a treatment issue or whatever the case may be, because it looks like they at either a school or a place where that obviously manages a lot of them,
Yeah.
and they've burnt
They were
things, and
mad.
there's wow.
No, they're
Shout out to
mad.
them for being able to also feeling as though that they've got the the community to actually gather together and say, listen, just because we're deaf doesn't mean we can't be heard. And they've also got a right to strike just like the rest of South Africa. So hey man, I hope they get what they're fighting for.
Yeah.
Do you know what they want?
What?
I'm saying
I don't. I didn't. I just saw the video and saw how mad they were, and
Yeah.
their posters didn't make much sense in
Yeah.
my opinion. But yeah, I was happy to see that. Look, everyone has a voice in South Africa.
Yeah.
That was admirable.
I want to go to a deaf church.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to go check it out.
If you find one, it would be interesting, and maybe we could all, kind
Are you
of
gonna come through?
experience it. I would.
Yeah, because I feel like we ostracize
Yes.
differently abled people. You know what I mean? We don't really care about what happens in their lives.
Yeah.
All of that. Yeah, we know we don't know much.
Exactly.
You think about it.
Completely different world.
Yeah.
And the information is there. Like all of us can learn sign language, but we all like keep it like here
Yeah.
or yeah, like I don't. It's
I think it's also based on your interaction with deaf people, because we don't interact with them as often. We don't see the need, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're not ostracizing them. Do you know what I mean? Because they would also still need to be heard, and they'd need to want to also express their own views as well, which I think is a little bit unfair.
Yeah.
It possibly does have to maybe come into like a curriculum or something at school. I think it would be great if that was the case.
That's not a bad idea, actually. That's actually a good idea. All right. Let's get into what's popping, guys. A couple of stories to look at today. Linnell, she's like co-producer, right,
Yeah.
of the podcast. You haven't met her, but she insisted that we have the story
All right.
in the prep because she's young, right? So it's about youth and drinking, and she's saying, do adult drinkers make alcohol more enticing to younger generation? And then she says that in South Africa, when we hang out, when we celebrate or mourn, we drink. Alcohol permeates all social settings, times of the day, and unfortunately, age groups. And that according to aware.org, 50% of teenagers drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So where do we draw the line between allowing them to experiment versus green lighting their destruction? While the parents cannot control or can control the home as much as possible, these kids still have friends, social media, and other points of access that normalize early excessive drinking. What do you guys think of that?
It's crazy because obviously accessibly it's not supposed to be there for teenagers, because you're supposed to have an ID when you're buying alcohol. How are they getting access to it? Are they stealing it possibly maybe from home? Because that's also a case where sometimes some parents would be keeping some bottles in the bar and maybe they're accessing it that way. Are they buying it at bottle stores? What actually is the case? But with regards to adults making it look enticing, I think that's it's a little bit of a way.
It's quite
on-
nuanced.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially because there's a lot that happens on social media as well, where you've got social media campaigns with regards to certain alcoholic beverages. So they're gonna see it either on TikTok or on Twitter or on Instagram, whatever the case may be. But I think it's also just about a joy of how are you enjoying it, because there's abuse and then there's a celebratory drink where you just have one just to say, hey, maybe you've
I've submitted
graduated.
my
You understand,
thesis.
or you've graduated. Here's
Yeah.
a glass of champagne, but you're only having one. I think it's the scales that we need to kind of measure as to how much of it is happening and at what level, what age are you actually also engaging with your first drink. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a little bit of a catch-22.
I think it's also, from what I've seen and even in personal experience, there's always an influence.
Yes.
There's always an influence. Whether we see it on TV, mind you, I'm speaking as someone who's been in an alcohol ad.
No, I'm the same. I do alcohol campaigns as well, so I'm
And they
neither.
pay really well, to be
Yeah.
fair. However, now when it comes to our youth, I have access to children. I know, because I've worked with children of different ages, I know how some of them are getting access to it, especially children who are from well families compared to those who are not from well families.
Okay.
There's always a dynamic in what I've seen. I've seen culturally, in an Afrikaans home, maybe they treat it as, this is us having dinner as a family, we're all having a glass of wine. Maybe in a colored household, it's being abused. Typically, it's being abused because, social circumstances, socioeconomic circumstances, what have you. In a black household, maybe it's the same, maybe not. Now, in terms of access, like I said, influence, right? There's always, with me, it was my big brother. There were reasons why he would have friends over, have alcohol in the house, and I'd be exposed to it that way. What I've recently learned with children is that they always have a way to get it, which is either there's the one friend who looks older than everyone else,
Yeah.
or they have a brother or a sister who is now 18 and is legal to go and buy alcohol, which I also think we should question in our country, like 18 and alcohol.
Yeah.
I do wish we could, increase the age limit, but
To what number?
at least 21 to 23.
Not 25. Because you know what research says about the frontal lobe?
Okay.
It says your frontal lobe only gets developed at 25 years of age.
Right.
Yeah. So, age of consent, allowing people to get into the club, buying alcohol. I think it should be from the age of 25. Moving out of the house, even. Okay, maybe that's a bit extreme. But
Look, I've also always had a little bit of a moment when it comes to ages of accessibility, because it also feels as though the floodgates are open at 18 in South Africa. You're able to drive, you're able to drink, you're able to
to a club.
to go to the club. You're legal to basically do anything. You're also legal to be arrested and go to an adult prison. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that are all happening at the age of 18, and I think it's maybe we need to relook at ages, possibly about at what point you are getting access to these things, driving as well. Maybe it could be a thing where you start driving earlier, you able to manage that first, and then only the alcohol after. We could debate this as we go along. But I think with regards to the conversation about the influence and why it's increased, definitely has to then deal with the points of where they're seeing it. The influence, is it coming from TV? Is it social media? Is it in the home, like she had mentioned as well? Because you could take a cell phone away from somebody and say they're only getting it at age 15. But if in your house you have a glass of wine or a glass of whiskey before you sleep, you're still influencing the person who's in your house. There's only so much protection you can kind of do. And I think it does boil down to environment. It does boil down to possibly family influences, friend influences, because sometimes it's not family, maybe it is friends and the people that you keep around you. I don't know how much we can control it, because at some point it's also based on the individual and their accessibility to these pressures and how these people actually influence them. I don't know. It's a tough conversation to have. But I do think it all starts in the home and how that's instilled,
very nuanced. Do older generations make it enticing to younger generation? I think that the quick answer is yes, but I don't think it's because they want to. I think alcohol in South Africa is a culture thing. Because, she said, when we hang out, when we celebrate, when we mourn, we drink. So I think what we should be doing, especially to help these kids, is influence culture and teach things that relate to identity, self-identity, worth, and so on and so forth, emotional regulation, that you don't need alcohol to belong. Because when you think of these kids, right? I mean, I used to smoke many, many years ago. I stopped. I don't do that.
Cigarettes?
Cigarettes.
Really? Finally. At all. I don't see it at all.
I used to be a bad kid. I used to be a bad kid, but then I transitioned. But I think about how I got into smoking. It's because there were friends around me and I wanted to fit in. I wanted to look cool and so on and so forth. So I think the way in which we can combat this is teaching these kids that, hey, you don't find your identity, your self-worth, or your emotional regulation in alcohol. You know what I mean? That rite of passage, when we transition from one phase or one stage of one's life to another, oftentimes alcohol is part of that transition. You know what I mean? And it's like, we don't need alcohol for that. And I think that's what we should be teaching the younger generation. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to add is I've noticed how bad it's actually getting with alcohol. Not just with, children and youth, but even with adults. I go on X and I see someone say something like, lately after work, every single day I need to have a drink. And it's almost as though they're saying that just to see if anyone else is doing that. And then everyone jumps in like, girl, yeah, me too. So it's kind of like a different Me Too, what's the word? Movement to say, oh, I'm doing something really bad. I need someone to validate whether it's that bad. And I think that's also kind of instigating a problem. Like South Africa, hey, whether we like it or not, there is a drinking culture, and it's actually a drinking problem.
Yeah, you know what? I do think the bigger thing is the influences, as you're mentioning, because most people do things based on who they have around them.
Definitely.
And in as much as, yes, we might mention advertising as a point of reference, but I don't really think advertising is that much of an influence, because yes, you'll see it on social media, sure, it looks good, but it's also about the crowd that you're in and the people you're trying to fit in with. For an example, now that you mentioned smoking, you made me realize that they've actually cut cigarette smoking completely. I mean, cigarette advertising on all platforms, but cigarette sales are still high. So I don't even think an advertising thing is the issue, whether you're on a campaign or a TV ad or whatever the case is. I don't really think that would even change the thought process of whether you should do something or not, because people are still smoking regardless of whether it's being advertised. So people will still drink regardless of whether it gets advertised, you understand? So I think it is about the spaces that we find ourselves in, the people that we are influenced by, and making those choices on our own. And sitting with the pros and cons of situations and saying, does it work for me? Does it not work for me? Do I like it? Do I not like it? What's my limit? Because I think people also need to realize that there's certain limits as to how much you can consume. Yes, you have one drink because you're celebrating, but are you binging? Or are you having one glass and then calling it a night?
What is binging, Doug?
Going on a bender.
It's just like
Just
going
like
hard.
going hard and not knowing. Some people need to know when to stop. And I think that might be where those statistics are coming in, because they're not stopping, as opposed to being able to, like she had mentioned, okay, I need a drink. Yes, maybe I do want a drink as well, but maybe I only want one, or I only want one shot for the night, and I can call it a night and go home. I'm still being safe, I'm still being diligent about it, and I'm not ruining myself by doing too much. Yeah.
So you say we have a drinking problem.
South Africa, definitely.
Is it a South African thing?
Okay. Let me say, because I live in South Africa and I know the environments in South Africa, I like you saying, every time we go somewhere, want to do something, alcohol is what's bringing us together. And yeah, that I think that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Do you think we can celebrate without drinking?
I think it's possible. It's all in. I think it's all in your willpower. I say this as somebody who works in the entertainment industry, so I'm surrounded by alcohol all the time, and I personally make it a choice to take a break for a good like 3-4 months at a time. Generally, I do it at the top of the year. So from like Jan until my birthday. My birthday is in April.
Okay.
This is a ritual I've done for years. My friends actually get frustrated with me, but I'm like, I actually don't care because it's about me and my willpower, but also my health at some points, but also my wanting to kind of recalibrate a little bit. I take a break from Jan until April, no alcohol consumption whatsoever. But mind you, I work in spaces that sell alcohol. So the temptation is there, but I'm still able to say no. And I can still have a good time. I'll still be dancing on the couches like everybody else, celebrating, have a good... It's all in the willpower. Yeah. What is it that you want for yourself? How can you have fun? Is it a factor that you can't now dance just because you need a drink or whatever the case is? And when you get back into it, you get back into it, but do it responsibly. I think that's the conversation we need to have. Not to say that we can't have it, but how are we doing it responsibly for each person and each individual and what works for them?
Yeah, I guess we need to redefine what having fun is.
Exactly.
Because I think for a lot of us, having fun is associated with, an alcoholic drink. It's I like what you do. So every year at the start of the year.
Without fail, from Jan until April, I will take that break.
Yeah.
And I do it just to kind of refocus because, it's the beginning of the year. So you also want to set your goals, set your achievements, and you always kind of have to do it in the first quarter of the year. Right. So I do that for those couple of months. But also for myself to also kind of then reevaluate what I want, how I represent myself in certain spaces. And man, I will go. I do get back into it because it is a space that I play in. I do enjoy a drink here or there, but it also forces me to learn how to be responsible. Do you know what I mean? So when I do get back into the drinking, it's not like I go off and then my world falls apart all over again. I'll do it gradually, and I'll get back into a drink or two afterwards. Yeah.
I think for me, it's when I say I relax because I'm very hectic from January until November. That's how I live my life. And we used to say with my friends, dude, it's like you become a rock star in December. They would say that to me. Because then in my head, I don't have a lot of responsibility. It's like work starts to like fade away and you can sort of like relax. So for me, it's always been a thing, Yaure. December, I can chill. You know what I mean? I can go out, have fun with people and so on and so forth. I'll have my 0. I know it's people say it's 0%, but it's not 0%. I think it's 0.03 or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But hang out with people, if you want to have your Hennessy and so on and so forth, please do that. But don't think I'm going to be influenced because you're saying, hey, man, here's a drink, blah, 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 blah. So I think the whole responsibility thing is very pivotal. I also have a friend, Linda. He does the same thing that you do, but with meat.
Okay.
Every 6 months, the first 6 months of the year, he doesn't eat meat at all. So it's just veggies and yeah.
I worry about ones like that because, and I'm not saying it's wrong, it's my own personal question, and maybe you guys can correct me because maybe I need more information about it. Not eating meat, I understand, yes, you are clearing the soul of whatever, toxins, energies, and things like that. But when you get back into it, does it not offset because, you possibly were depriving yourself of certain proteins for so long, and then when you get back into it, your body's like, and then you get a little bit sick for like 3 days. Do you know what I mean? And with meat, it's different because meat is actually good for you, unlike alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just how does your body then get back into not having that protein for so long and then having to jumpstart it back in?
I think it's how you get back. So I used to be a vegetarian.
You've gone through so many lives, Tawanga.
It was not by choice. It was not
How long did this last?
Yeah. It lasted for about 2.5 years.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
2.5, 3 years. Like I said, not by choice, but I would get sick from eating meat. I remember, I think it was 2018, and there's a radio conference that they used to host here in Johannesburg. I can't remember the name. So we would travel from Bloemfontein to attend. And at the time, the radio station would, give us money, an allowance, because we're traveling for them. And I remember this one time we bought chicken licken. It was a friend of mine and I bought chicken licken. We ate, went to sleep. I kid you not, I woke up the next day, I had an infection on my chest. Yeah. And this thing happened so many times that I even have like scars to it. So I have a scar here, 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 and down there by my leg because of chicken. So I would always react.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But then now you were a vegetarian for 2.5 years and then you got back into meat.
Yes.
What made you get back into it firstly? And secondly, didn't you react when you came back into it?
No, so like I said, it's how you get back, because there's gluttony. You know, people come back to stuff, and it's like after a fast. You know, people fast, which is good, and then they come back, and it's like they just bombard their bodies, their systems with a lot of food. I think I slowly introduced meat. I've always been a white meat guy, so I started to slowly introduce chicken into my diet. Till today, I don't like red meat. And that's the dichotomy in my household, that I have a wife who's a big, big fan of red meat. And then there's me, who's not a fan. So I like fish and I like chicken, right? So you have to like strike a balance. But there are times when I'm like, I'm not going to eat that. I'm fine. So I slowly but surely introduced the meat back, and I started with chicken. Yeah, look, people say they want to be vegan, and I don't support that as well. And when you actually think about it, right, it's often those people who get like super, super, super sick because they're depriving their bodies of the proteins, as you said early on. And then there's a transition. You know, people who were once vegan, vegetarian, then they go back to eating meat because it's like, yo, why am I doing this to my body? Yeah, so I think it's how you introduce the meat.
Generally, I think that'll be the conversation that needs to then spread and then say, okay, how do we reintroduce certain things? What's the responsibility factor in the things that we enjoy from a daily basis, whether it be food, whether it be alcohol, cigarettes, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
How are we doing it responsibly? How are we reintroducing it back into our lives?
Definitely. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's an article that I read on News 24, and it's South African home loans, how they are making home ownership possible for freelancers
Oh, wow.
and gig workers.
Finally. Okay.
So let me read this. So the South African workforce is undergoing notable changes in its structure, with a rising trend of freelancing, consulting, and independent contracting, right? Yet, despite this shift, many financial institutions have not adapted their lending criteria to accommodate these new working patterns. This shift towards flexible, non-traditional work arrangements, however, has spotlighted a key challenge: access to home loans. So now what's happening is that SA Home Loans is taking steps to address these limitations. Because when you think about it, oftentimes people who are independent contractors, freelancers, etc., oftentimes they actually earn way more than traditional workers. And it's like, but guys, why are you restricting me?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that is what's happening.
I'm glad that SA Home Loans has finally realized that we're also human beings who want to buy houses. Please.
Yes.
Just because we're in the gig economy doesn't mean we don't have aspirations to live in a house with a garden and a pool and a tennis court.
Exactly. It all.
You know, we want it all as well. But I think it's also just about how those things are structured. I think the information is not out there enough to freelancers. I don't think they realize how they need to structure their finances so that they can be favorable to a bank. Because at the end of the day, SA Home Loans is also a financial institution. Whether it might be a little bit more lenient now towards freelancers, but they still have limitations. You know, and I think it's about having that information to say, as a freelancer, do you have a business account? Do you have financials? Do you have ABCD? Or how are you managing your money? If you're doing everything in your personal name, what is it that you are earning, so that we can also then, make sure that you've got enough money to cover your expenses, pay your taxes, as well as then buy the home. But I'm glad at least they're trying to meet us halfway.
Yeah.
I'm a bit scared.
Scared of what?
At the end of the day, We must never forget that these institutions operate as a business.
Sure.
Business is business, brother.
Yes.
Whether it's a wonderful title, it's a homeless freelancers, wow, but it's a business, guys.
Yeah.
They operate as a business. They
So
have
what
systems.
are you saying? They are about the bottom line at the end of the day.
Who is not? In a business capacity, who is not? However, I think before we get excited about that, like, yes, some of us are yearning to own a home or to own a home in Joburg and Cape Town. And, in December time, we also can go down the way that, our corporate folks go down to Cape Town or to Durban or wherever they go, whether it's overseas and such. But I do think that we need to do a lot of research.
Yeah.
What are the pros and cons of that? What, realistically speaking, if I own a house, it doesn't end there. It doesn't
Girl.
stop there.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. If I want to put this property like on a rental, as a rental, there's a lot of things
To consider.
going, on behind the
Yeah.
scenes that we don't know about. And it's a huge step. So I implore creatives, look, okay, cool, yes, it doesn't end at just creatives. There's engineers who are consultants nowadays. Like, it's wonderful that, they're trying to modernize finance. But please do your research.
Yeah.
Your due diligence. Is it worth buying a house, guys?
I question that a lot.
Yes. Yes and no. And I say this as somebody who actually worked in property for 4 years. So
Spill. Spill.
I say yes and no, dependent on the person, dependent on you and your needs at that point in time. Because at the end of the day, anything that you acquire will always be from a needs basis, right? You buy a fridge because you need it. You buy a car because you need it. Sometimes people don't buy cars, they rather Uber. It all depends on how your lifestyle works better for you, right? So I say with regards to buying a house, yes, it is good to buy a house because then you have that asset base that you're increasing for yourself. You're building towards something, so you're putting money into something that you are going to then earn future income on. If you maintain it, of course, because everything is a maintenance issue. If you maintain it, you could sell it in a couple of years for way more money than you had initially bought it for,
Right.
which means it's an investment from that perspective. It could be something that you pass down, because also in South Africa, we've got a lot of people who are in and out of jobs, whatever the case is, but having that security of a home is always a better platform to kind of build on, where if you grow old and you pass that house down to your kids or their kids, they've at least got a base that they can build on before then they have to think about, moving on and, acquiring their own properties or whatever the case may be. So from an investment perspective, 100% yes, if you maintain it, right? And I say no to people who possibly can't afford it, but also maybe it's not their main focus at that point in time. Renting is cheaper and it's better sometimes financially for people, because if you own a house, you're also having to pay levies, you're also having to pay rates, you're also having to maintain whatever breaks down in the house. So but paying a monthly bond is not just that. You're also then paying for everything else to maintain the house, to keep up its value. So sometimes it's cheaper for individuals to rent because you're only paying one amount per month. And if anything breaks, you call your landlord, and the landlord must sort it out.
It's nice.
The landlord must pay the levies.
fine.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying it's based on your needs at that point in time. Even with a car, you could be buying a car, and there's options now where you could buy a car on an installment basis where you're paying off, and then maybe after 5 years, the car belongs to you. But you could also lease it, where you're leasing it for 2 years from whatever institution, and then at a certain point it reaches certain kilometers or a certain time frame, you can give it back to that institution, then you lease another car, fresher car. It depends if you want to own the car after 5 years, or if you one of those people who wants to change your car every 2 years, then the leasing option is a better one for you. Hence, I say it's all on your needs at that point in time. Some people don't want cars because they just don't want to drive. I've got a friend of mine who obviously had a traumatic situation, got into a car accident, doesn't want a car. He can afford one, but he prefers to Uber everywhere. So,
Yeah.
Needs basis.
Look, I hear the whole chat on need, right? And I agree. But I think there's also another side to that. I don't think people are inherently stupid. I do think, though, that oblivion kicks in, right? And that because of that, then people just do things because it's the in thing at that time.
Yeah.
So I think also, like, another perspective to consider is the fact that oftentimes people will get into stuff because Miss Cosmo's doing it, Donna's doing it, Brandon is doing it. So I'm like, I'm gonna do it, and you have that thing, and it's like you don't even use it. I don't want to make this example, but there's somebody who bought a bicycle, right? They've never rode on it, and they've had it for 5 years.
Really no.
And that's a minor example, but you can imagine the other things that are there. So definitely that need thing, but I think also just like doing things because people are doing it. I think people need to question that. I also want to add this perspective that between my wife and I, we have 3 properties. And what I'm learning about, and thank God that experience is life's greatest teacher, right? And wisdom, you get wisdom from experience. What I'm learning is that rather buy a home that you are going to live in. So I support buying property only if you are going to live in that property. I'll make you an example. So like I said, we have 3 properties. The one property is here in Ferndale. 2 are in Four Ways. So the one we live in is in Four Ways, and then the other one is in Broadacres. The one in Ferndale, the tenant moved to America, so it's vacant. The one in Four Ways in Broadacres, we have a tenant there, but there's a shortfall. So yes, they pay rent, but there's still that deficit of the levies and the rates and so on and so forth. And mind you, when I bought that property in Broadacres, nobody told me this, that, and the other. So I found myself, okay, sure, I needed the property, right? I got it. But it's like these agents as well, they'll only say certain things when it benefits them. That's what I picked up.
Fully.
When it doesn't benefit them, it's like T's and C's, but you see how like the small
Fine
print is
print.
that fine print is like, it's very small.
Salts.
You know what I mean? And so having like a conversation with one of my friends, he's like a sales agent, and we were chatting about certain things because we're thinking of like letting go of one of the properties and maybe just like getting a bigger house, because it makes sense when you look at what we're paying for the 3 properties combined. It doesn't make sense, and these are apartments. It's like it doesn't make sense. So I was chatting to this guy. He's the one who sold me the place. And he was saying stuff that when he sold me the place, never ever mentioned. I'm sitting there, I'm just like, yo, this is very interesting. So I say all of that to say, buying property is good, yes, but buy property that you're gonna live in, because then you can see like, okay, it's tangible, it's something tangible. It's like what Checkers did recently. I think they now started giving credit. They started giving people credit for buying food. You know what I mean? So you can buy food on credit.
Yo, guys, where are we going?
But
Yo.
I'm just like, no. So you take the credit, right? You get the food. At some point, the food runs out, and you still have to pay for that. And people are gonna get upset because it's like, why am I paying for something that I don't have access to? Whereas with a property, like you said, Ms. Cosmo, it appreciates. But I'd rather be living in that property if I buy it than it being there somewhere and, the person is not even taking care of it. And
That's also the biggest issue, if I have to be very honest. Being a landlord is not easy. You are also subject to having a tenant who doesn't care about your unit, and they're just gonna run amok and do whatever they
Or
like,
they don't pay.
break whatever they break, disappear, not pay their rent. And there's a lot of there's a lot of rights to tenants in this country where they can get away with a lot more than a landlord will. You're more likely to be on the losing end of a case than on the winning end if you are a landlord. However, it's not to say that you won't get a really good tenant who will pay you on time, who will look after your place, who will pay you, and then assist you to paying off the bond for that specific property. And at some point, you earn an extra passive income from it. So you just it's luck of the draw at the end of the day. You just need to try your luck and see where you land.
This is true.
And work at it, because you could have a really, really amazing tenant and things could go really smoothly. And then you could also have like a rubbish person. So I appreciate what SA Home Loans is doing, especially
Yeah.
for freelancers, because we also want to be able to own our own homes. You know what I mean? Some of us don't want to rent forever. We want to build a legacy. And we can't build a legacy if we're constantly suffering in and out and thinking, oh, am I going to make rent this month? Am I going to get kicked out next month? You're also at the mercy of your landlord, because sometimes some landlords will say, okay, they'll sign a 1 year lease with you, but then 6 months in, they decide they want to sell the property, and now you have to figure your life out. Now you're at the mercy of whatever they decide to
hear
do
you.
with the property. So it's also that gives you that security to want to then say, okay, I've got a place to live in. And them being lenient on freelancers also gives freelancers the opportunity to also then find places that are affordable and be able to move into those places.
Yeah.
And even negotiate with regards to the lawyers' fees and transfers and things like that. It is a very expensive exercise, but I do think it's worth it at the end of the day.
Fully agree.
Yeah, from a legacy perspective, investment perspective, Yeah.
Yeah, teaching creators, freelancers how to actually use their money.
Exactly, and to use their money wisely and not blowing their money on diamond work.
Actually,
Please,
yeah, and I think we
I
need
beg of you guys. Yes, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with going there and shopping. Yes, you must shop because you've worked hard for it. It's your money, but at least acquire something serious while you're buying a handbag.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
and we're tired of like seeing creatives, just like die and they have nothing.
Nothing.
They have no legacy. They have absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so
You
shout
know?
out to them. Shout out to SA Home Loans, definitely. All right. Guys, this is something I thought about for quite some time. I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring it to the pod, but I thought, you know what? Let me bring it. I'm going to tell you guys a story, right? And then we'll just get into it. So it's this guy that I know, and he talks about his mom and his dad. And he says, when my mother was getting married to my old man, she had one demand. She would not marry or live with an alcoholic man. This woman was saved, right? Christian, saved. So then what happened is they got married, and 3 weeks into the marriage, the man went to a local bar and he drowned himself in alcohol. Went home staggering drunk, and when he got home, the mother, the wife, welcomed him. She fed him, put him in bed, and after that, she went and she packed her bags and she left for her father's home very early in the morning. She was not going to live with an alcoholic man. That was that. When the father, the husband, woke up, his wife was nowhere to be found. He searched every single place, but the mother had left. Then the man decided he was going to marry another woman, right? He went looking, but all the women he found had many faults. So they were either too lazy, too dirty, and that made him frustrated. So then he sent his people, to the wife's home, to sort of like speak to her. But the wife's mind was made up, right? And it had been a month. In fact, her father, the wife's father, had actually enrolled her in a teacher's college. She was not going to live with an alcoholic man. That was what the father of this wife said. She supported her because she was a good woman. The husband then finally gathered the courage, right? Went to the husband's home. And the first thing the father of the wife said was that his daughter was not an orphan, that she was a young, beautiful woman with a whole life ahead of her. And if she did not want a drinking man, she was going to get just that. The father, the husband, had to part with one more cow and 5 goats. That as this guy speaks, from the day all of this happened, the husband has never, ever been near alcohol. That this couple actually grew together from being rice farmers to being university lecturers, professors. The mom is a librarian. And he says the lesson here is that people give you what you are willing to take. So I want us to talk about standards and consequences in relationships. The case of romantic, platonic, and work relationships. Do people give you what you are willing to take?
People will always take. That's one thing you need to know for sure. People will always take in situations that they think that they've got leeway, you know? So setting a boundary, I think, is very important, especially when it is a, especially if it's a deal breaker for you specifically. So if I come into a relationship and I say, I'm not going to marry a drinking man, and you agree and you say, yes, I'm not going to be a drinking man, and then you drink, you can't be shocked
When she goes.
when I pack my bags and I say, I deuces.
No.
Because I said it ahead of time. And I think it's a conversation thing. All relationships need compromise at the end of the day. And you decide, is this relationship worth me compromising this part of my life to be with this person? Yes or no? He said yes, so he knew what he needed to sacrifice. If he had said no initially,
Yeah.
then they wouldn't have had all of the
Gotcha.
up and
Issues,
down.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
he felt, oh, my drinking is more important to me than this girl, okay, sharp. She also would have been like, okay, cool, I'm going to find somebody else. Do you know what I mean? It's the lying to ourselves that's the problem.
Sure.
Why are we lying to ourselves when you know what's important to you over this relationship?
And I'm wondering if she maybe thought like she was joking.
Oh, that he would get away with it.
Yeah, or
Yes.
convince her. You know what I mean? It's very interesting.
People will, you're very right, Miss Cosman. People will take. People will take and take and take and take. Especially when they feel that they have an advantage over you. Maybe, I don't know, I'm now bringing in hypotheticals to the story. But
Right.
perhaps he was the breadwinner. And he felt because he's the breadwinner,
He's got the right.
he's got the right to go out and save. That's his due diligence.
Yeah.
But the fact remains, she said what she said.
And I think oftentimes we think love means endurance.
Yeah.
That because I love you, I need to endure.
Yeah.
And also I've realized people don't actually want you to have standards.
Yes, that's very true.
I've had a lot of moments where I said yes to people. Like, yo, can you help me with this? Yeah. Yo, can you help me with that? Yeah. Yo, can you help me with this? No, I can't. And it's like now, like we are beefing. It's like World War III. And it's like, and the times when I said yes, like
That's all forgotten.
did you forget about that? No, I'm saying no because I can't. It's not that I don't want to, but I'm saying no because I can't. And so that's taught me that people actually don't want you to have standards. And I've always been in conflict when that happens. It's like, okay, what do I now do? Like, because also you do want to manage the situation. I don't know if you've ever found yourself in something like that, you know, where you're conflicted because you've set standards and now people are feeling some type of way.
I have. I think a lot of us have actually been in situations like that because we do things out of the goodness of our hearts. But then people want to take because people are selfish and people think about themselves. Then when you put your foot down, all of a sudden you've turned into this monster that they don't understand. No, I'm not a monster. I've given enough. I've given so much of myself to a point where I'm like, Nami, I need to look after myself at some point because I am going to go over the edge of how much I can give you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's with people, that's with life anxiety. You also gave too much of yourself, which is why you felt sick because you were doing too much and you needed to then hold back and give your own self a boundary so you can get yourself healthy again so that you can get back into school.
Yeah.
And I think it's about having those limits and those boundaries to say, how much of myself can I give? What am I willing to sacrifice for this situation or for this relationship? And once you hit your limit, that person needs to respect it because you're not there, you're not living your life for other people. You're living for yourself, but you're also willing to,
Yeah.
be a nice person. I think when they say nice guys finish last, it's because of that.
Yeah.
Because you take, and then all of a sudden you're the monster for saying no. Awa.
It can't work like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something like I mentioned like very early on, dark night of the soul. I'm going through that with a couple of people in my life where I've tried my best to meet them halfway, and I'm the only one meeting them there. I know what our differences are. They don't want to see that, look, we have differences. There's going to be a clash here and there. It's fine, it happens. Communicate with me. Let's communicate, let's figure it out. I cannot be the one to always have to be the bigger person and approach you and say, hey, I didn't like how you did. Yo,
Yeah.
ooh, it's fine. I'll just leave it be. The fire will settle at some point. If you are willing to make something from the ash, I will meet you there. But if you cannot meet me where we are, like if you can't meet me halfway, just leave me alone.
But also understanding that some people actually thrive on that. Like some people thrive on you constantly going to them. You know what I mean? And it's like,
It's their egos.
how. So he further says that something very interesting. He says, if I give you less than you deserve and you stay for it, you deserve exactly that. If you deserved better, you would get better. I am exactly what you deserve.
Felt.
You don't choose what you meet, but you choose what to keep.
Ooh. That's painful. That's a painful reality. But I think it's a necessity for us to hear it, because I do think a lot of us accept way less than we know that we deserve. Do you know what I mean? For the sake of whatever situation that we're in. And I say this, for instance, okay, we're all freelancers, right? And we find ourselves in opportunities where a brand or a promoter or whoever comes to us and says, okay, I've got this job. You know what your rate card is. Everybody says, this is my rate card. For this, I charge this. For voiceovers, it's this. For MCing, it's this.
Yeah.
For this, it's this. But they'll always come to you and be like, without fail, yeah, but the budget is, hey, 1, 2, 3. And then they want to negotiate, and then now you're taking half of what your actual rate is.
Sure.
But you're accepting it because your necessity is, I gotta pay bills. But are you worth that amount that you are taking for that day? Because now you've created a standard where that same person is going to come back to you and say, oh, but the last time I paid you this and you accepted it.
Yes.
You are now stuck on that level. You're no longer accepting higher. Whereas some people can earn higher because they can say no.
So I got to that, but that was cultivated. I had to cultivate that because I think a lot of people operate from a place of desperation, but you don't realize that in the long run, this actually it messes things up for you. To your point, they come to you and they say, "What's your charge?" Right, and you're like, "This is my charge, but I can do this." Or you say, "This is my charge," and they're like, "Dude, it's too steep." And then you decrease your charge, right? And then they're like, "Okay, cool." Next time they actually have a budget, but because you've set that standard already, it's like, no. We are gonna meet this person there. So I had to cultivate it. I'm at a point, or I got to a point rather, where we don't have to continue the conversation. Sure, I need the money right now, but the way we're going about with it, it's just not okay. And I don't want to find myself where, especially when I'm alone, where I'm being so hard on myself and I'm like, dude, why did you allow that to happen? You've had this conversation with yourself prior. You said you're not going to do this, but now you caved in and you don't even know why you caved in. So I had to cultivate getting to a point where I'm just like, Standard Bank, you want to work with me? What's your charge? And I'm like, okay, but I need the whole picture. Also, I can't just give you a charge because there's usage, this, that, and so on and so forth. So when you say you are running a campaign, what is it for? Where is it going to play? And so on and so forth. So when you give me all those mechanics, then I can give you a charge. But once you do that, I realize once you do that, then you don't hear from the people anymore. And can I tell you, I'm okay with that because, like I said, it's going to hit me hard after. Yeah. And I don't want that conflict.
Yeah, because you've also creating a standard. I think that's the thing. And the sad part about it, in any aspect, relationship, work-wise, your own personal health or whatever the case is, you decide what your limits are and where you're going to then create a boundary. I say this even in, for instance, in relationships where Sometimes you question why an abused woman will go back to an abusive home. You ask, why are you going back? He's hit you once before, what? It's the blame, it's the conversation, it's the manipulation, the gaslighting that's happening. Some women sit back and they think, yo, but I actually deserved it because why did I speak like that to him? Now you've set the standard because now the man has thought, oh, I got away with a slap. What can I get away with the next time? What can I get away with the next time? And it's mind-boggling sometimes where you'll sit in a conversation with somebody like, but why do you keep going back? Until they've reached their limit, and that's when they say, before I die here, let me leave.
Right.
And unfortunately, some people don't have that limit, and then, you know, unfortunate circumstances do happen. And I think it's the precedent that you set from the beginning to then say, I'm not going to allow certain things. And for me, I can say, I speak for myself, in relationships. Remember, I think we had spoken about this a couple of episodes back, where I said to you, Guti, sometimes I find it difficult giving second chances. And it's not to say that I don't think humans don't deserve them. Maybe the situation, I'd have to look at it and then decide, okay, there were too many red flags in the situation, let me bounce. But I also don't want to be in that, because now I'm setting a precedent to say, oh, you've cheated on me. Okay, I got away with it the last time. All I did was, hey, kiss, I'm sorry, send some flowers, some chocolates, and then I'm back in the game. Then you're going to do it again thinking, oh, but you said it's fine the last time. So surely I can cheat again.
And then I use it against
and
you.
Then and then you do it again, and then you gaslight me because now I'm thinking, oh, I got away with it the last time. Surely I can. And that's why we need to at least create those boundaries to then say, I'm not going to be taken for a fool, you know?
Yeah. So the courage, go for it.
Boundaries are important.
They are. How do you set boundaries?
You know for yourself when you're in a situation you feel uncomfortable. Why are you not listening to your gut at that point when you're uncomfortable? Why do you let it slide?
Talk about it. Yeah.
Why do you let it slide? Ask yourself that question. Because at some point you're gonna keep getting uncomfortable, and then when you burst, all of a sudden it's, oh, she's dramatic.
Yes.
No, I'm not dramatic. I've been holding it in for the past however many times it's happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And eventually I hit my boiling point. So you need to then ask yourself, why am I allowing something to happen if on onset I'm uncomfortable about it?
Yeah, I've learned that people change not because you beg them to change. They change because they want to. I mean, we've heard so many examples where somebody would say, I dated somebody and all I got from them was the bare minimum. Right? Then they broke up, and then the person started dating somebody, and it's like a new person, and it's like they are constantly on romantic getaways, being spoiled left, right, and center. It's not because there was something wrong with you. I didn't do all those things because I didn't want to. I think the core is really that. I didn't want to. You can say whatever you want to say, but I didn't want to. And I'm doing these things now because I want to. And I think with change, it's the same thing. You know, sometimes we find ourselves where we are begging people like, yo, dude, what you're doing, I don't like it. What you're doing, I don't like it. You can say it as much as you want to until they decide that, hey, I'm going to change this behavior. It's not going to change. And that's why I said, like, self-respect is also love. And I think we battle with that. We battle reconciling with that, because I think oftentimes we think, when I respect myself and I choose love, then I'm destroying the next person. But I think destroying the next person is what will get them to actually get that eureka moment and say, hey, man, maybe I need to change this, I need to change that, and so on and so forth.
Hey, but that thing is exhausting. Being Bob the Builder. Building homes for other people to flourish in.
But I do get concerned about like cutting people off and just like walking away.
Why? There's nothing wrong with that.
Why?
Can you stop?
If that becomes like your go-to, it concerns me, because it's like sometimes there's genuine misunderstandings. And if there's a misunderstanding between you and I, and that's become your thing, then you like cut me off. And maybe I can come and say, yo, dude, like, I'm actually sorry. Like, I saw what I did, right? Recognize what I did. And then I never do it again. But because you've already said to yourself, when I get shabu and I'm cutting you off, you don't even give me a chance, to explain myself or to remedy for whatever it is that I did. Look, I get where you're coming from.
How many sorries though?
Exactly. Because
many?
there's the first sorry. And then I said, okay, but I'm watching you. Then you do it again. Ke mang style? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I'm the fool here, Bobo the clown, because now you want to play games in front of me. Oh, wow.
And people don't realize with that constantly having to accept an apology, there is something in you that is
Yes.
retracting from this person.
Yes,
It's
and there's
like,
something in you that's breaking.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
No.
No, I hear you guys.
But
Maybe we need to have a chat about how far do we go with grace? Because being married, right, has taught me that forgiveness has to be part and parcel of the journey. Now, I don't say this as somebody who's planning on cheating on my wife and so on and so forth, or abusing my wife. No, I don't mean it from that point of view. But as people, we are just complex. Relationships are not complex. People are complex. And as a result, we make relationships complex. So because of our complexity, we bring this dynamic where it's like we hurt each other and, we are going to falter and so on and so forth. So grace is important. Like I said, I learned that from being married. But again, it's like those boundaries are also important. So I think it would be interesting to explore, like, where do we draw the line between, like, having boundaries, showing people grace?
I think it's all boils down to communication at the end of the day, and what you've communicated to that person that makes you okay, and how much of it you are willing to then compromise or to be graceful for.
Yeah.
In the conversation or the example that you gave us, she said, I will not marry an alcoholic man. But maybe she was willing to accept many of his other flaws. Maybe he's unhygienic. Maybe he doesn't know how to cook. Maybe he doesn't know how to make the bed. Maybe he needs her to dress him every morning. Maybe there's other things that he's doing. And she's like, you know what? This is a tough job, but it's fine because I love this man. I'm going to accept
compromise.
those things. She's compromised many other things, but not the alcohol. We need to create a boundary to then say, I will give you grace for all of your other indiscretions, but please not with this one.
Good point.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's the balance, that's the compromise. Because I'm also a human being who's also flawed, who's also got things that I'm doing wrong in the relationship. What are you willing to accept about me that you've communicated to me that I'm doing incorrectly? I will try my best to be better. But there's that one thing that you will not allow. You are going to come back to me and say, yeah, I quit smoking 4 years ago. Please don't start smoking in our relationship. Then she knows, okay, cool, I'm not smoking. But maybe I can still have a drinking yana here and there. Maybe I can, or maybe if it is a drinking thing and it becomes a little bit of abusive, you communicate it as well. And you say, when I met you, you would have 1 glass of wine a night. I'm okay with 1 glass of wine. Now every day you're coming back and you can't even stand up straight. You must communicate that to me so that I can fix it.
No.
That's the grace, is it not?
fully agree.
Fully agree. All right, no, let's wrap up, guys. Let's wrap up. I hear you guys. I think these are pertinent questions. We are going to get a psychologist in the studio.
Ooh.
Linnell was actually talking to me about it. So we can gain understanding on why we do certain things, why we think about certain things, and so on and so forth. But I did enjoy this conversation.
So did I. Thank you so much for coming, Donna. We appreciate your insights.
Yeah. Maybe also just wear like purple.
Nah. Right now, this is what her soul is depicting.
Yeah.
Dark night.
Yeah, she'll be sunshine and roses in December.
Okay.
Nah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Look, like that sign says, both of you guys are awesome. And you are awesome as well. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, cheers.
Adios.